Welcome to Great Talking Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the podcast where we review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics and DC Comics and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Now let's go, baby. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day today, and I hope you're enjoying these podcasts wherever you're listening to them at. So, this is going to be my spoiler review for DC Comics animation films, Legions of Superheroes. This is a spoiler review. If you have not seen it, pause this. I have a non-spoiler review on this. Check that out. Definitely on both channels, on both videos, I should say. Hit that thumbs up button because that would definitely help this channel out grow and have more audience. Go watch it and then come back and listen to this spoiler review. So, again, this is a spoiler. You've been warned. Let's get into it. The film starts off on the Kryptonian planet as we see Kara Zor-El training with her mother, just like any other teenager. She always wants to one-up her mother in this training as you see them running, doing jogging, exercising, training just to try to get her to get Supergirl prepped up to become who she's supposed to be. But out of suddenly dangers appear as they give us the origin story of Supergirl. Now, it's the same story that you probably watched on the CW or you read about in multiple comic books. There is some slight difference, but she's usually younger and sent off to Earth after the big attack from Brainiac and all them. Or if you remember the Man of Steel, that Zack Snyder directed, you notice that it's the same way, but it's just a different villain, right? And she's usually younger, but this one she's almost a young adult, but she's still a teenager. So she's a little bit older than 12. A little bit past the age of 12. That's what I'm kind of thinking. And obviously the story continues that she's already established as Supergirl, but she's still trying to struggle, and you'll see in this film that she's wearing like overalls, wearing these big glasses, has her hair tied up, and she's wearing like a hat, like in a hip hop way, right? And because over there in Kryptonian, like there's robots who do these things like an AI, or like how we use our Google or Apple like Series, and you ask them that gives you the information or whatever. These robots are kind of like that, and they do that. But she's on planet Earth with her cousin Superman and Batman and all of them, and there's no robots appearing, and people are making fun of her. And obviously, it's a typical teenage story. Some teenagers feel different, and people make fun of you for being a little different. And obviously, she's very different. She is the cousin of Superman. She's a Kryptonian. She has superpowers. She has to hide that from regular people who don't have superhero powers, right? And then in the scene we see that Solomon Grundy has a high-tech gun, and he's already destroying Metropolis City. And then we see Supergirl, Superman, and Batman, and they stop him, beat him up, and Batman and Superman have realized that Supergirl is kind of not ready, because when she was battling Solomon Grundy, she was a little reckless. She was destroying houses, just using cars, and we see a funny scene where the guy's like, hey, that's my apartment. What are you going to do about this? Like, she didn't even think about, oh, there's somebody's house there, somebody's apartment, somebody's car, And Batman and Superman all about just trying to do damage control, basically. And so she's not ready. And, Batman's very, strict. He very straight up to Superman and told her, like, man, you need to, like, handle this. You need to tell her. And So Superman gives her a choice. So there's this really high tech, and it looked like a regular ball, and he throws it up. And now there's two different Earths. There's the Earth that they're on, which is the 21st century. And then there's another Earth, which is kind of the future, which is the 31st century, where the legions of superheroes are inspired by Superman. These are like people who have like Superman powers. And not all of them are Kryptonian, but they have, they can fly, they have super strength, whatever. And then you obviously have the outcast superheroes, like the broken toy type scenario story in there where, they're trying to be superheroes, but the superhero powers are kind of like corny. One person can turn invisible, but he hasn't figured out how to make his whole suit turn invisible, or t-shirt or pants, whatever. So there's that little inside joke. You have a character who can split her whole body and clone herself, and it sounds cheesy and stuff, just things like that. Or there's a big guy who can turn into a really bigger and bounce like a big fat ball or whatever. And so it has one of those type of things. And we also get introduced to Brainiac 5, which we'll get into that later. But Supergirl obviously decides, she wants to stay in Earth 31st century because, again, it's a typical teenage story. A young man named Mon-El introduced himself because he's a big fan of Superman. He's a big fan of Kryptonian, and he wants to live in a world where everything is like Kryptonian. A lot of structure, a lot of leadership, But we find out he's the evil one, right? But obviously before that, she, like any teenage girl, she has a crush on a boy, and she chooses to stay because of a boy. So it's a typical teenage story. And then the story kind of gets a little bit cluttered when we get introduced again to Brainiac 5. And basically, for some reason, because here's the spoiler, and this is the spoiler, the main villain of this whole film is Brainiac. And he has this big plan. Obviously, Brainiac is like Thanos, Darkseid, any big bad villain. He has a huge plan, and he's not playing checkers, he's playing chess. So he clones himself. And there's different Brainiacs. And some reason the legions of superheroes feel like there can be a good guy superhero Brainiac that can be on the team. And the other four, there's altogether there's 5, but Brainiac 5 is the one who becomes the good guy, who's actually wants to be a superhero. The other 4 are just turned straight evil like Brainiac. And this is where it gets cluttered. As we see Supergirl and Brainiac 5 argue and they bicker, but in this film they obviously fall in love with each other. They catch feelings, and who would think that a Kryptonian and Brainiac, a Brainiac clone or species or whatever, would hook up, because that's just a no-no. And if superhero fans, comic book readers, movie lovers, y'all know that that's like Lex Luger and Superman. That's a no-no. They don't become buddies. They're moral enemies, right? It's one of those things, like it's forbidden love. But even this, we see that even though in this film you see Supergirl introduce Brainiac 5 to Superman, he's very gentle, so he's very nice about it. So he might have, it's really odd. You would think they would do some Romeo and Juliet type thing with it, but they didn't. But I guess that's okay. It's still, I can live with that. So we see that Mon-El is the one who's been working with the Dark Circle, and they're like those soldiers you see throughout this film who found the dead body of Brainiac. And why was this body in Metropolis or in Star Lab. That's crazy, right? But the Dark Circle take over the legions of superheroes headquarters, and they show that there could be a good Brainiac, and we see them end up defeating the main Brainiac, which this was really confusing. They did a Frankenstein body. So they took the other clones of the failed Brainiacs who have failed to take over this legions of superhero, took their dead bodies and surgically put them all together and put the actual head of Brainiac, and they had enough brain cell tissues to recreate and made Brainiac. And he just remembers everything because he's that smart, right? And it's really weird, but that's where I'm at, where this story gets a bit cluttered. But there's this miracle machine, which is just a machine that can change reality, like the multiverse. It's multiverse, basically. And he's going to bend it his way. Like, he's going Thanos mode, basically. And what ended this show was the other Brainiacs wanted it too, and for their own selfish reasons. And so this Frankenstein body just gets ripped up, torn to pieces. There was no team up. Supergirl and all her friends couldn't just team up. They did team up to try to stop him, but they weren't the ones that defeated him. What defeated Brainiac was his own clones, which is crazy. But again, it was really great. I actually liked it. I'm not mad at it. I just wish there was a superhero ending where, like, the Justice League team up, because that'd been cool. I think that would have been a better ending. But again, I can live with this. And obviously, again, this was a great film to watch. I liked it. I liked it a lot. And again, it wasn't the best ending, and it wasn't their best animation film, like I said before. It's just not, but it's good. I like it, though. I still like it. And I can live with it. It could be acceptable, and I think if they make another animation film, whether there's going to be one that's going to be connected to it or not, I hope they can justify it whenever they have a chance. So I'm okay with that. I'm not going to make it a big deal. But it was just an odd ending. That's how I feel about that. But again, it was a really great film. You only see Batman once in the beginning and in the post-credit scene, which was really odd. So something blew him up, something killed him, or something captured them, which is either Brainiac, Darkseid, or something along those lines. Like, it's an alien from outer space. Could be Doom. I don't know. I thought it was Doom at first, because they always have Doom. Like, that monster never dies. So I don't know. I thought it was one of those. It could be Zed. I don't know. It could be anybody. So that was the post-credit scene. So there is going to be a sequel to it, whether it's part 2 of this or Batman and Superman thing. I don't know. But there will be they're teasing there's going to be an animation film that's going to continue on this story. So who knows? Didn't give a lot, but other than that, I liked it. I really liked this film. I just thought, again, the ending was kind of strange. I felt like maybe Supergirl was going to be the leader of this. Like, you got Justice League, Batman's the leader. But I thought, okay, Supergirl's going to have her own group. She's going to have her own teammates. She's going to have her own friends and allies and sidekicks and such more. But I guess they're not going with that. They could, again, but I thought they would have just jumped straight to that in this film to stop Brainiac, right? That's what I thought, but they didn't. So, again, not a big deal. I can move on from that. But 1 out of 10, I'm going to give this an 8. It's not their best, but it's a really good film. It's okay. I can live with it. because it's not even. We're getting closer to summer, the season of summer, and I'm pretty sure they got some more animation films coming out, DC animation films. So, I will do a whole review about at the end of the year, before the end of the year, or maybe next year or whatever. I'll have like a review of I'll figure out what movies are connected. And again, I'm talking about just the animation films. I'm not talking about the DCU. I'm not talking about the Elseworld. I'm not talking about the James Gunn films. I'm talking about the DC animation universe. So I'll figure that out and have more updates about that. So that's my review. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talk and Entertainment Official channel. Subscribe. Hit that notification button so you can always be updated with all my latest content. Thank you and peace